Hi, my name is Blake Hickey. I've been a gym owner for the past 6 years, and throughout that process, the one thing that I've learned is that mobility is king. So many times people start a fitness program. They want to get in shape, they want to lose fat, they want to build muscle, but they don't know where to start. And that's what this is. This is where you start. Mobility will increase your range of motion. So what it does is your joints, they're probably not used to moving to their full potential. And that's what a mobility practice can do, is it can begin to open up your joint structures and enhance the way that you move. Now think about it. If you're gonna do a workout program and you're trying to do a squat, but all your joints are all locked up, how hard is it to be able to get to your full range of motion? How hard is it to be able to get depth in your squat? And if you're squatting only a quarter of what your potential is, you're not burning the amount of calories you could be burning. You're not activating those muscles to the point where they should be activated. So that's why mobility is a crucial, probably the most important part of this fitness program. So in order to really to get this, let's write what mobility can do for you. So first, it can increase your range. All right? When you can increase your range of motion, like I said before, your body can really start to experience its potential. Another thing is that you're going to decrease your chance of injury. So that's important. A lot of people, when they start working out, they want to get results, but they end up either getting injured because they don't know how to properly move, and their joints aren't able to hold that load, to be able to get into that range of motion, and then they're all excited about their new program and they push really hard and then they end up getting hurt. So with a proper mobility routine, you're going to decrease your chance of injury. It also, the most important part, is it's going to increase your central nervous system connection. All right, so a lot of the times, like when you go to a doctor and they have you squeeze their finger, right? What they're really testing there is how well your central nervous system is responding, how well your brain can fire off and get to your extremities, which is your fingers, they're the farthest thing from your brain. So when you test that, you're testing how well your central nervous system is firing off. If you don't squeeze their finger, it doesn't mean you don't have a lot of muscle mass. It just means that your central nervous system isn't healthy. The wires that go from your brain down your spinal cord through your arm, making all your muscles fire off, it's not firing properly, and that's an important thing that we need to work on. Another thing is, with a good mobility practice, it makes you young again. It makes you young. So think about an old person, 70, 80, right? When they start to get older, what happens? So they get tight. Their movement is restricted, and they are usually like hunched over, and they're moving very slowly and not a good range of motion. Now think of a very young person. How do they move? They run, they fall, they get right back up, they bounce off the ground, right? Like I have a 1-year-old daughter, and she's running around constantly, just showing youth, right? So that's the big takeaway, is that mobility can actually reduce your age. So we've all seen two different types of people. Like you have two 60-year-old people. One 60-year-old practiced fitness and they moved every day, and the other one worked at a desk job all the time. Well, there's going to be a difference in the way that they look. I'm sure you've seen a 60-year-old, like, wow, you don't look like you're 60. It's really, they don't move like they're 60. So central nervous systems, they register and they connect with one another. If you see a beautiful dancer dancing, you're going to notice that there's something that they're doing that's beautiful and it's remarkable, and you can connect with them on a level. What is that? It's your central nervous system recognizing their central nervous system, knowing that it's beautiful. I don't know what they're doing, but I know that what they're doing is beautiful and good, and that the connection of their brain to body is very strong. So that's what this is going to do for you. So these big takeaways. You want to be young again, and you want to be out of pain. If you can be young again, if you can increase your youth, and if you can get out of pain, you're going to be a much better version of yourself. And our mission is to get you to be the best version of yourself, to increase your longevity. Because if you can increase your longevity, if you can optimize the way that your brain and your body are working, then you're going to be able to experience a higher quality life. And by experience a higher quality life, you can be there for yourself more, which then allows you to be there for your family more, which then now you created a good family unit, and you guys can go out in the community and be there for the community. And then that community can grow, and it can be there for your country, and eventually it's going to be there for the world, right? So by taking the time to be able to enhance your own life, you're going to be able to affect the world in a positive way. And that's our mission here at Philosophically Built. So one more thing, one more takeaway I want you guys to understand is that with this mobility practice, this is what I want you to take away. So here is your potential. So this is your potential range of motion. And this is probably where you are. This is where you are. So, and when you're in this range of motion, it's not full. Like you hit the sides, right? So you hit that range of motion, but there's gaps in there. So this mobility session, what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to first master where you are now. Master where your current range of motion is, to be able to own that whole space. Then once we can master where your current range of motion is, we are going to begin to enhance where your range of motion goes. Meaning we are going to begin to increase your range of motion towards its potential. And then when you're here, then you've unlocked your true potential. So let's start with the mobility session. So in order to get the most out of your mobility, what you're going to have to do is first learn how to stand. And believe it or not, most people do not know how to stand. A lot of times people are walking and they have their knees locked out, their pelvic bowl is tilted back, their rib cage is flared, they're slouching, right? Their head's forward because we're texting all the time, and we're eating, and we're driving, and we're sitting on a desk on the computer, and it gets ugly. So the way that we're going to start this is just to learn how to properly stand. So first I want you to bring your feet about hip distance. So once you have that, I want you to put the weight onto your heels, so lift it off your toes, and then put it onto your toes and lift up your heels, and then find the middle, and that's where you want to be. Next, you want to put a little bend in your knees. So we do not want a huge lockout. A lot of people lock out their knees. We don't want to lock out our knees, just a little bend in your knees. From here, I want you to engage your calf muscles to your bones. So squeeze your muscles into your bones. And then I want you to engage your quads and your hamstrings into your femur bones, into your bones, right? So you're squeezing, you're activating those muscles, you're turning those muscles on. So from here, your legs are active, you're feeling your feet into the ground. Next, I want you to take your hips and pull them forward slightly by engaging your lower core muscles. So a lot of people have a disengaged core, which causes your tailbone to arch up. And we do not want that. This is the future of a back injury. So you want to engage your lower core to pull your hips slightly forward. Next, you want to pull your rib cage down. So again, we do not want a flared rib cage because again, this puts pressure in your lower back. So we just want to engage your upper core to pull your rib cage down. Now, once you have this, your core should be active. Your bottom core is tight, your top core is tight. But what this does is it tends to pull people's shoulders forward. So once you pull your shoulders forward, how do we get them back? Well, it's not shoulders back. That's the end result. But what we really want is our upper back muscles to contract. So by activating your upper back muscles, your shoulders will begin to contract or be able to pull back. Then from here, Again, we do not want a forward neck, so you want to pull your chin in and get your top of your head reaching towards the ceiling. And this is how you want to be standing. This is how you properly stand. So again, not here where you'll see. Next time you go around the grocery store or you're out in public, just look around how people walk and how they stand. They're very slouchy. They're very pushing their weight onto one side or the other. And all you're doing is you're slowly grinding away at your joint structures. That, in the long run, is what causes joint pain. And then you're going to be going to the doctor all the time, taking pain meds because your body is just in pain. And that's what we're trying to get rid of. We do not want that. So once you have that stance, right, your feet are planted into the ground, your knees are slightly bent, your hips are pulled up, your rib cage is pulled down, your upper back muscles are activated, and your head is stacked on top of your spine. From here, I want you to just begin to slowly engage all your muscles. So squeeze your muscles, every muscle in your body to bone, to 50%, 60%, 70, 80, 90, 100%, complete activation, and now slowly start to pull away, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, and about 20%. 20% activation is where you want to be on your normal day to day. All right, 20% activation. And I want you to try to walk around like this, walk around, get comfortable with this. It's going to feel a little weird at first, but once you learn and you train your body how to properly do this, you are going to be much better off in life, in your posture, in your stature. You're going to walk into a room and people are going to notice you, right? They're going to see that you are a confident person instead of walking into the room slouchy and scared, and people really resonate with your body language. So now, taking this structure, we can start our mobility. So we're going to start from the ground and move all the way up throughout every joint structure. So the first thing I want you to do is, taking this posture that we just went over, I want you to shift your weight over onto one leg, lift up your other leg, and flex your toes back, and then push your toe forward. So we're just flexing our toes back, pushing forward. If you need to have something to hang on to on this side, that's fine too. Flexing back, pushing forward. And if you are hanging on to something, the goal is to not have to use that for a long period of time. So work on not using it a lot, not using 100% of your weight onto that. Okay, next, while your toe is up, I want you to scoop in and scoop out. So you're flexing your toes towards your knee and you're scooping your ankle in and out. In and out. And you're going to feel that your ankle will be, all the muscles around your ankle will be working. Your calf, you'll feel that. And now from here, you're going to pretend like your toe is a piece of chalk, and you're going to draw a big circle on the chalkboard. So we went forward and back, in and out, and now or side to side, and now we're going to go big circles. Big circles, and then other direction. And then we got to do the other side. And you'll notice, as you're standing, your standing leg is increasing stability, which is very good for you, very good for balance. Let's do the other leg. So you're going to flex and point. Flex and point. So as you're doing this, your standing, your stable leg is working. That leg is working, increasing your balance, increasing your strength. Now keep your toes flexed back and scoop. And scoop. And then you're going to take your big toe, pretend it's a piece of chalk, draw a big circle on the chalkboard, as big as you can, keeping your leg still. So we don't want our leg moving around as we're doing it. We're keeping our leg stationary as we're moving in a big circle. In the other direction. Okay, next, for ankles, we are going to turn your foot to the side and take your other foot, and I want you to rotate your foot over onto the top of your foot, push into the pinky toe edge, and keeping your weight on your stationary leg, I want you to begin to drop down. So there's about 10 to 20% of my weight on this foot, and then you're going to come back. So it's just a twist and back. twist and back. And it's I'm in a lot of control. I'm very controlled here. I'm not cranking down onto my ankle. Other side. So believe it or not, flexible ankles will help you get lower in your squat where you will not hurt your back. So that's the goal, is to have flexible ankles so then you can squat better. All right, next is knees. So we're going to move up to the knees now. So knees, let's have you could put your hands on your knees, and I want you to drive your knees forward as you put the weight onto more of your toes. And then you're going to push your knees out as your weight is onto your outsides of your feet. You're going to extend your knees back as your weight's more onto your heels, and then drive your knees in where your weight's more onto on your inner feet. And you're just going to move your knees around in a circle. So the thing is this isn't necessarily your knees, it's just more ankles and hips. It moves your knees a little bit, but it's also a primer for your hips. If you want more, you can take your hands off your knees and then other direction. Remember, you always have the ability to put your hands on your knees. Also, it's a pretty cool dance move. All right, next is knees again. We're going to do one more for the knees. I want you to lift your foot up and then pretend that there's a line going straight down through your knee, and you're going to move your ankle around that line. All right, so you're trying to keep your knee still as you move that ankle. You move your foot around that line in the other direction. And again, this is working. You got to work on that standing posture that we went over in the beginning. All your muscles are activated. If you're not, you're going to be like this, and you're loose, and you're moving in all your other joint structures. We're trying to lock up our joint structures and just move our knee. Everything else is tight. And then other leg. So you're going to stabilize on your standing leg. You're going to lift your leg up. Move that ankle around that knee. Everything's tight. You keep your shoulders back. Keep your head tall. Another direction. A healthy body starts with mobility. Okay, next we're going to move up to hips. So for hips, hips are a huge pain point for a lot of people in our society. And the reason being is because they're sitting down all day. Most people in our culture, we have desk jobs, right? So the point is to get up and to move. When you sitting is very, very bad for you. So you have to make it a point to move into your hips. So the first thing we want to do is focus on driving your hips forward. So you keep your knees bent, and you're going to pull your hips up. So you're going to activate your bottom core and pull your hips up. And then you're going to pop your tailbone up. Right? So we're just trying to reclaim our range of motion of going back and forth. And also we're reclaiming our central nervous system, because when your brain is saying we need this to move, it needs to figure out what muscles does it need to contract while you're moving like this. Keeping your chest nice and tall and still. Next, we're going to go side to side. So this is a little tricky for people. You want to keep your knees bent, both knees bent, and then you're just going to bend one knee a little more as you pull your hip up. You pull your opposite hip up. So you drive I'm driving my left knee down and pulling my right hip up. And then I'm going to switch. Right knee down, left hip up. And again, I'm keeping my core tight, keeping my shoulders back. And as I do this, I feel my hip opening. I feel my tissues expanding in my hips. And you could breathe into inhale to center, exhale into the new range of motion. Next, we're going to put it all together. So we did forward, back, side to side. Let's put it all together. So first I want you to go forward. Then I want you to pop your hip to the side. And then you're going to drive your hip back and then to the other side. Forward, side, back, side. 4 points on a box, like you're just moving your hips around in a square. Keeping your chest tall, keeping your core tight, and then other direction. And if you have this, so once you have this very just point to point, let's turn it more in fluid. So you're going to turn that square into an oval and glide through those 4 points. So you're still hitting those 4 points, you're just gliding through it, keeping your body tight and strong. Now we're going to have our feet a little wider, and you're going to glide. Okay, so you're going to glide to the side, and as I glide to the right, I'm keeping my left leg straight, and as I push, I'm keeping my chest up. So you pretend like there's 2 panes of glass. You're in between 2 panes of glass, and you want to stay in that line. Inhale to the top, exhale to the side. You're just wiring your brain. You're learning how to move. Sometimes this is easy for people, sometimes it's difficult. Now we're going to do a big circle, big hip circles. So you're going to drive your hips to the side. You're going to push your butt back. You're going to drive your hips to the other side, and then you're going to drive your hips forward. So you're just trying to make as big of a circle with your hips as possible. Now, as you do this, keep your spine tall. Keep it straight. So as I'm pushing my hips back, see how I'm keeping my shoulders back and my head long? That's the goal. So we don't want to do this. We don't want to round out. We want to stay long and tall. So all that tension you're creating is going in your hips. Make sure you get both directions. Okay, next is leg swings, and this is knees again and hips. So what you want to do here is kick your foot up, and then as you come back, when your knee meets your other knee, kick yourself in the butt. So you're just going to kick up and kick back. Now, if your range of motion is here, that's fine. And again, you can hold on to something to keep your balance, but the goal is to not need to use it. And then you can begin to get your leg up. Now, the biggest mistake I see here is people want to get their leg really high up. And when they do, when they kick it up, they drop their shoulders down. They drop down like this. That's not what we're doing. We're keeping a tall, that structure we created in the very beginning, we're keeping that. And that is first priority. Stature is first priority. Because if you start to do this, it's no longer in your hip. You're putting all the pressure into your lower back. So keep yourself nice and tall and swing that leg back and forth. And then other leg. Next, more hips. So we're going to lift our leg up and we're going to bring it around. So I like to pretend there's a little stool next to me and I'm trying to lift it up and over that stool. So I'm going to lift my leg up from here. So I'm leading with my heel. I'm driving my heel forward and I'm going to turn my foot in. And I'm turning my foot, I'm turning my femur in. So my foot isn't turning in, it's my femur connecting to my hip is turning in, and then I'm lifting up and around. When you go back, I don't want you to go all the way back because then you arch your back. So I don't want this. See how I'm arching? We don't want that. So you only go back a little bit, just enough where you feel your tailbone start to come up, and that's the end of your range. So again, if you're new, if this is difficult for you, you can stay down here. If you are better at this and you start to progress in this programming, work on getting your leg a little higher, turning in and opening up, but doing so while keeping your upper body still. We do not want this. That is not, you're no longer in your hip. Again, you're in your spine. So let's do the other way, other leg. Lift up, internal rotation into your leg, extend and go around, keeping your shoulders back. I usually do 5 on each side. And then we're gonna go the opposite way. So shake out your legs, give them a break, and then take your leg and go back slightly and around. Back and around. So again, we're not going really far back, just a little bit. I'm leading with my heel still and around. Again, you're lifting it over that imaginary stool, or you can really put something there to work on lifting it up and around. Your hips are on fire yet? Other side. Okay. Next, we're going to do spine, so thoracic spine. We're moving up into our thoracic spine. So from here, I want you to keep your hips tucked forward, and we're going to push your chest forward. As you pull your shoulders back, I want you to push the middle of your chest forward, and then you're going to push back. So your shoulders are coming forward as the middle of your chest is pushing back. Forward with a deep breath in. Exhale out, and keep your shoulders down away from your ears. A lot of people will come up here like this. We don't want that. And another thing people do is they turn it into it's called a cat-cow in yoga. So when they go forward, their pelvic bowl will tilt like this, and then they'll go forward like this. So see how my hips are moving? We don't want that. Again, we're just isolating the thoracic spine. So everything else, you stand in your structure, and you push forward and back. Next, when you have here, your shoulders are forward, and you're going to begin to stretch out your lats. So you're just coming to center. Exhale. Inhale. Next, you're going to be bringing your arms out. We're going to go side to side with the thoracic spine. So again, knees bent, hips tucked under. I want you to glide to the side and then glide to the other side, keeping your hips still. So you pretend like your hips are in a vise. Your hips are in a vise, they're not moving. So it's not this, it's hips still and gliding. And then we're going to put them all together. This is a challenging movement, but it's fun to work in throughout your progressions, throughout your programming, just because it shows you that your central nervous system is in fact enhancing. So the first thing I want you to do is push your chest forward, and then you're going to push it to the side. Then you're going to push it back, and then you're going to pull to the side. Forward, side, back, side. And again, it's just 4 points on a square. And when you have it, you can begin to smooth out those points, move them around. Hit those all 4 points, turn it into an oval in another direction. Again, this is a very hard one to do. It takes practice. But if you practice, your central nervous system will get stronger, and you'll get better. Next is shoulders. So we just went up the body. We did ankles, knees, hips, thoracic spine. Now we're up to shoulders. So first, we want to start with just doing the backstroke. So you're going to reach up, bicep by your ear. And again, keeping your knees bent and your hips tucked under, right? We don't want this. We don't want this. So keep your structure. Reach back. And let's start by letting our hip fall backwards. So as you reach back, see how my hips are turning? We'll start with that. Okay, so just know that some rotation is going into the hips, which is fine. Keeping your arms straight. A lot of times people they don't have the mobility and their arm will bend, which is okay, but just notice it. If it is bending, notice it look, and then straighten it out, and you're going to feel that tension, that uncomfortable feeling. That's what you want. In order to get into your full range of motion, you're going to have these uncomfortable feelings. Now, as you do it, don't push through pain, but slowly breathe into pain. And if it's sharp pain, back off. But if it's that slow, dull, uncomfortable pain, just take it slow and breathe through it. Other direction. So again, my hips are turning. Next, we're going to keep our hips still. So before we keep our hips still, let's go back, keep our hip. So turn your hip back with your arm. Get so your arms are parallel to the ground. And then from here, pull. If my right arm is back, so I'm going to pull my right hip forward. And then I'm going to let my left hip fall back. When they get parallel, I'm going to pull my left hip forward as I'm keeping my hand back there, back behind me. So pull forward. Let your hip fall back. Pull forward. Let it fall back. Pull forward. One more. Let it fall back. Pull forward. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let it fall back. So I'm going to turn here. You're going to let your hip fall back. You're going to pull that hip forward. Look back over your back shoulder and begin to draw circles with your arm. So small circles one direction, and then switch small circles the other direction. Keep that hip pulling forward, and then rotate, switch sides. Let your hip come back, pull that hip forward. You'll feel all your muscles get tensed up, and then draw small circles. Small circles one direction. Small circles the other direction. Good. Now we're going to finish that off with just keeping our hips still now and doing one more. Back, stroke, keeping your hips still. So notice my hips are not turning now. And then other direction. Okay, now we're going to work on internal shoulder rotation. So you're going to bring your shoulders up. I want you to bring your shoulder up to your ear. So I'm bringing my right shoulder up to my ear, and then I'm going to turn my shoulder down. So I'm going to lock out my arm. I'm locking out my arm, and I'm bringing my palm to the ground, palm behind me, palm to the ceiling. And as I do that, see my shoulder will begin to drop. I'm going to look away from that shoulder. This causes a tension and a kink here. I'm going to look away from that shoulder and drive that shoulder down. And then you're going to come back up and plug your shoulder back into its socket. And then your other side, you're going to bring your shoulder up to your ear. You're going to rotate down. Inhale, exhale. So when you do this, a lot of times people's arm will drop. We want to keep it parallel to the ground. Good. So your shoulders should be toasty warm. So let's just get them a little more toasty. Let's bring your arms up and just do small circles. Small circles above your head. And other direction. Now we're going to go to the sides. 3/4. So not up, not to the side, but 45 degrees. Small circles one direction. Small circles the other direction. And then down to the sides, parallel to the ground. Small circles one direction. And this is mind over matter, so it's probably burning. But the goal is to overcome that burning sensation, other direction, by just letting go, learning to let go. Good. And bring your arms down, shake them out. Now we're going to do elbows. So we're going to start off with our hands to the side, thumbs forward, and you're going to bring your arms straight in front of you. You're gonna take your fingers and you're gonna cross your neck, like you're telling someone across the room, like you're gonna get it, right? So you're crossing your neck. Once you cross, pull your elbows down. Once you pull your elbows in and push your wrists out, keep your elbows pulling in and wrists out as you extend to the sides. Point your thumbs towards me. Come across your neck, elbows in, wrists out, extend, out. And just do that. One more. Good. Now we're going to do wrists. So you're just going to bring your hands together and you're going to roll your wrists side to side. So you're just trying to turn your wrists over side to side. So my forearms, you'll see my left forearm's on top, my right forearm's on top. In the other direction. All right, now we're gonna work on our neck. So you're just gonna bring your chin to your chest, chin to the ceiling, chin to your chest, chin to the ceiling. Now you're gonna bring your ear to your shoulder. So as you bring your ear to your shoulder, I want you to notice your opposite shoulder. Pull that hand down towards the ground, because what tends to happen is we bring our ear to shoulder, this shoulder will lift up. And now you're not getting your neck, you're just rotating into your spine. So shoulders down and away, one ear to your shoulder, as you pull your opposite shoulder down and switch. And then we're going to put it all together. Chin to your chest, ear to your shoulder, chin to the ceiling, ear to your shoulder. Chin to chest, ear to shoulder, chin ceiling, ear shoulder. In other direction. All right, and that concludes the mobility session. Do this at least once a day. At least once a day, and do it before each and every workout. So as you progress through this system, it requires you to do this mobility session before you perform the movements. And again, for a couple reasons. One, you're going to increase your range of motion. Two, you're going to decrease the chance of injury. Three, you're going to increase your brain to body connection. That's very important, because when you're doing these movements, you need to know that you're doing them right so you don't get hurt. All right, and then also it's gonna make you young again, right? Right now my whole body is turned on. All my muscles are turned on. My joint structures are feeling good, they're feeling loose. And if you start your day with this, you wake up in the morning, you start your day with this, you're gonna go out in life just feeling a little bit better. And when you feel better, you'll do better. And when you do better, you're gonna inspire other people around you to do the same. So I hope you liked the mobility session. Hope you're feeling good. Talk to you soon.